Hi, everybody, and thank you for listening in. Today, I am joined by a very, very special guest.
That's right.
Our president, Scott Aldred, has taken the time to sit in the hot seat for us for a little while. Scott, thank you for being with us. We appreciate your time and your support throughout this project. So thank you for joining us today.
It's great to be here. Appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, well, we're excited. We're excited, and what we want to capture and what we want to do today is we want to give everybody, all of our listeners and all of our audience, our associates, our customers, anybody that in love with ASEA, an opportunity to be able to get to know you a little bit better, to get to know your story a little bit better, and to also outline a little bit of what the vision looks like here as we go into 2023. So let's start at the beginning. How about that? Tell us a little bit about your background prior to ASEA coming into and we'll get to the crossroad where you met ASEA. So tell us a little bit about your background prior to coming in.
Yeah, background is manufacturing and distribution. Not too terribly exciting. So 25 years leading up to my ASEA career, really starting in the packaging arena. Okay. So really a specialist in equipment and different packaging mediums as far as different materials. And then getting very, very heavy into dietary supplements.
Okay.
And packaging of supplements, and then coming through the contract manufacturing. So for those that don't know what contract manufacturing is, it's when you produce products for other companies. So really, there's not a lot of ingenuity with that.
So would you say at that time you got an opportunity to see a lot of what other companies or diverse companies were doing in terms of the space, nutritional supplements, and kind of that area?
Yeah, so really having that experience on good products, bad products. Sometimes they would take ingredients out because they were too expensive. And that was kind of a decision point for me. I just wanted to make sure I could always be associated with products that were high integrity, high impacted products. Wow. Because I actually saw the opposite sometimes.
Yeah. Can you tell us a story? Would you mind sharing a story without disclosing any names, any brands? Tell us about maybe some of the horror stories that you got to experience.
Well, one of the interesting ones that came to mind was there was a company that was releasing a new product, and they needed it. Like all of us know, we get on a fast track for a convention. They needed to release it at convention. So we didn't have a lot of opportunity to help them stabilize the product. It was a very active product, let's say. And after we had packaged the product, we came back in the next week. So we did it on a Thursday and a Friday, and there was an issue with the micro-contaminants within the product, and the product was actually exploding in our warehouse. And so as fast as we could, we had to start dumping the product into our dumpsters. And needless to say, they did not release that product at convention.
Well, that's I wish I could say that was the only time that's happened, but I'm sure you have many stories like that would fit that same story and that same concept.
Yeah, luckily none at ASEA, so that's good.
Yeah, that is a positive thing, and happy to have you as part of the team. So that actually leads perfectly into a good segue for what I wanted to talk about. Also, I think it's really important as I've gotten to know you throughout the years for people to really understand, how did you where is the Scott Genesis as it pertains to ASEA? When did you decide to be a part of this, or how were you introduced to ASEA?
So Genesis chapter 1. Okay, let's start there. I was actually kind of introduced to ASEA by accident. Okay. A friend of the family had been working here, and this is a true story, so sometimes I embellish the truth, but this is 100% true. I went to look at the manufacturing facility. The friend of mine said, "Hey, come down and look at this." And I remember thinking, electrolyzed salt water. This is very dangerous, electricity, salt, and not really understanding much about it, just almost wondering how can there be a business based on this product. And seeing the way things were and the way things were running, I just really had a lot of concern that the company was going to stay in business. At that point, I had no intent of working for the company, no intention. I just knew it was kind of interesting, but it was one of those things after seeing it, I thought about it a lot.
How did they even convince you to walk in the door? So you come with 25 years plus experience. You have a well-established career, well-developed, you're at a senior place in your career, and then they get you to come to ASEA. Was it a free lunch? Did they give you some product? What got you through the door in the first place?
I think we get to the point where all of us want to take a chance. Mm. And I looked at it and I said, this is kind of iffy. And the analogy I give is we decided to date and maybe to get engaged before we were officially going to get married. And I think any of us, when we're looking for an opportunity, we want to do that. We want to check it out. And for me, it was an opportunity to build out the Redox Center. That's when I came over 10 years ago. And so it was really one of those things where I'll come in, I'll get everything set up according to FDA standards and make sure that we're in a good position. And then after that, you have to make a decision. But it really was maybe with the intent of a short-term situation.
So did you feel like there was potential? I mean, we use that word a lot. Did you feel like you had the potential to have an impact when the opportunity presented itself?
That's a good question. I think first what I saw with the company, there was potential because I remember meeting with Virgis Norton and wondering why somebody who was retired was actually working the way he was working, and knowing his history. So I was curious, I think, more than anything. And then interviewing with the executive team, I saw a team that was very committed and more than anything was very honest in their dealings. I'd had a couple experiences with companies that I worked for where the integrity level was pretty questionable. And so I did see the potential. And really the first day, I remember exactly going to the Redox Center and meeting with the team that was working there and started asking questions and knowing that, hey, there was something here that I didn't understand. Initially, yeah. Okay. Like I said, okay, so we're working with electrolyzed salt water. How does this work? And really spend a lot of time with the guys in the lab. Say, okay, test it again. Show me how this is working. And almost not believing it.
Yeah. Would you say that part of your engagement and kind of your assessment throughout the years in your career yield for you to have kind of a checklist of criteria that needed to be met prior to you engaging with a business?
Yeah, that's a good analogy. So you want to check the boxes.
Yeah.
And you want to check the credibility. And for me, coming from a background of dietary supplements with different nutritional ingredients, you have to add more to get to the efficacious amount. Mm. And I could see we weren't doing that with the ASEA Redox product. It was the process that was creating the product. And I had never approached supplementation that way. So it was very different.
So I want to kind of hone in on that a little bit. You said it was the process that was creating the product. So what have you ever experienced that before in any other organization, any other business, or any sort of consulting or affiliation you've done?
No, not even close. I had just come prior to ASEA doing a lot of consulting for a very, very large company in our space, primarily for nutritional powders, like meal replacement, protein powders. Very different. You're working with ingredients, with purity of ingredients, and then to see that with ASEA, it was all about the technology and the process. It wasn't anything about the ingredients. It was about the process.
Wow, that's amazing. That's incredible. I want to go back to one thing you mentioned a few minutes ago, your first interaction with Virgis. Yeah. What was that experience like for you?
I think for those of us that have been here a long time and had that association, it was really understanding that he did not have to do this. This was a risk.
Right.
It was a risk financially. It was a risk professionally.
Right.
Personally with his family. I know his wife wasn't keen on, after him starting another career. What
do you mean when you say professionally it was a risk for him? What do you mean by that? I think I know what you mean, but I want you to kind of share that with us.
He had a track record, a corporate track record.
Yeah.
And to start a different company in a different space, that's a risk.
Yeah.
And for Virgis, it was a risk. And I think a lot of people didn't understand that.
Well, especially when I think initially, we're talking 14, 15 years ago when they decided to start to kind of explore this as a company and the space. But the credibility around the product, it was hard to understand the science. I mean, you spent weeks and months really wrapping your head, but not everybody had that sort of exposure initially, which is something that I would love for you to talk to as to how you've taken your experience over the course of the last 10 years, and now you want to reposition that, compartmentalize it, simplify it, and deliver it to all of our listeners, all of the ASEA consumers, anybody that really wants to understand a little bit more about what ASEA is all about.
One of the first things we all have to do is we have to have a belief. And we get there at all different levels. Like for some of us, we had to see the testing. We had to know of a surety that what we were doing was good, because we couldn't represent the products or the companies if we had any doubts whatsoever.
Yeah.
And really my position in the company, with being over all the operations, the manufacturing, distribution, was understanding that we were following every letter according to FDA law, according to the guidelines for the Food and Drug Administration of the United States. That was first and foremost. We had to make sure we had a safe product, efficacious product. We were following all the levels of testing, and then we could talk about it.
Yeah.
But we had to know that we were doing everything the right way first. And that was the credibility play. Coming into a company that was fairly new, it was wide open. We could build the credibility as we went.
Yeah, so as you've built that credibility throughout the years, right, because it doesn't happen overnight. Tell us, can you explain to us a little bit what the process is? We can take when you talk about credibility, I think we're also talking about certifications and some of the validity that we've established around that. What does that look like? What is a process to obtain a certification? You can use any example that you feel is relevant, but give us an example of what that has to go through and adhere to. I know you talk a lot about the production facility and about the quality and standards that it delivers. Maybe use that one as an example for people to kind of just gauge and get a general sense of what it takes.
With the Redox Center, and by the way, we didn't call it the Redox Center back then. We just called it the production facility.
Right.
The first thing we had to do was list the facility with the FDA. So we had to tell the FDA where we were and what we were doing.
Okay.
That's at a risk. So you have to know that you can be audited at any time. So we started setting up scheduled audits.
So from the moment you make that known,
yes,
you are now subject to a potential audit out of the gate.
So you start hiring companies to audit you. But even before you do that, you start writing standard operating procedures for everything that you do. And I remember in the very first weeks, we started writing standard operating procedures. And we wrote about 100 in a week or two.
Wow.
Just basic standard operating procedures. Now there are literally thousands of standard operating procedures at the Redox Center. But we had to start somewhere. Yeah. Starting with the standard operating procedures and starting with listing with the Food and Drug Administration.
Your contribution to the company from where you brought it, from where it was. And I remember when I first heard of you, it was actually down at production, the first introduction that they said you were coming to be a part of the team. I heard nothing but incredible things from your experience and what you had done and what you had been able to accomplish at other organizations. But to see it and to have it be what it is today, I mean, you walked into that production facility and it is, I mean, state of the art. It's world-class quality, everything we do. And we have these fly-ins where people come in on regular basis. You know, we have people that come in on team days, on some of those different events, which all of you can schedule for through your upline. So I got to give a little plug there. You know, and people walk away with a different sense of understanding of what we're doing, if not a full understanding, at least with that belief and conviction to say these guys are the real deal. Did you format the layout of how you have the production facility strategically to be what it is today? Is that part of the concept? Yeah,
they call that flow. Okay. So it's production flow. We had some limitations because the building itself was already built. Mm-hmm. And what we did is we took the outer shell of the building and started to establish that production flow. Over time, over the years, it's grown. And so we've had some limitations, but it has a very good flow. It's a great building. It's at least with the facility part of the building, very sound. Everything is good. We've made it specific for our technology.
Wow.
So it's a great facility. And also at the facility, you have to have a great team. It's like any part of our company. You have to have people that are fully committed. And over time, we've continued to upgrade the talent level, and the level of commitment is continued to increase.
I cannot wait to have some of the folks that you just mentioned and referred to in that seat, so that people can get to know them, their experience, their background, and some of the things that they've been able to accomplish, not only here at ASEA, but outside of the organization as well. So the caliber of experience that you're bringing to this organization is second to none. So we appreciate that you've taken on this challenge, and have been sure that you've brought the best talent out there. So now you sit as the president and have been in the president seat. So, a lot of people feel and think, Scott is steering the boat and the direction of this organization. So talk us through what the vision looks like. This goes out to all of our North America associates, customers, leaders, listeners. Tell us a little bit about what that vision looks like for 2023 and where we go from there.
The vision is one of unity. People will hear me say that over and over again. And so that I won't stop saying it. I value unity above all other things, meaning that when great teams come together, they're unstoppable. And the vision is for the corporate team to work seamlessly with our field leaders and our field team. That will get us to the next level. And that was maybe something that was missing. We were listening, but we weren't taking as much action as we should.
Yeah.
That's changed. We're listening, we're attentive, we're doing everything that we can to make this company what it should be and to give people that opportunity, but to know there's a great team that's here to support you in doing that.
Well, Scott, I think people are feeling that. I think they're feeling that every day with our interactions. I think they're feeling the energy. I think they're feeling your excitement, your commitment, your devotion to this business. And we are really excited. I'm excited to be a part of the team. I'm excited to be a part of this next vision and the evolution, as I kind of refer to it from time to time, the evolution of this company, which we're not going to slow down. So we appreciate you taking the time, a couple of minutes to sit with us, to go through this, to outline the vision. We look forward to 2023. I think I'm excited. I think the rest of the team is really excited to be a part of this. I hope each and every one of you listening to this is excited. This is a new direction. We continue to evolve and expand, and we're excited for each and every one of you to be a part of it. Thank you so much, Scott, for being with us today. Appreciate it. Thank you.